Yes. Do you ever have occasion to come in contact with her? Yes. Tell me about that. No.
Dennis Bradford had kept a secret for 20 years, for 2 decades. And no one knew his secret. Not his wife, not his ex-wife, his children, not even his adopted kids. Makes sense. The only person who knew the secret was his wife, who had died 20 years ago. And this is the only thing that kept him going. He was happy. He could sleep at night because he knew that the person who knew his secret was dead. Dennis has found himself in an interrogation room where detectives were asking him, do you remember what happened 2 decades ago? Well, the girl that you have tried to murder is back. And she's alive. The detectives were referring to the 8-year-old girl that you have tortured and left naked to a field is alive. And she has been hunting you down for the past 20 years. Jennifer's traumatic experience happened where a group of kids were playing tag, all girls. So the girl was running around and her arms were spread apart. While she was running, suddenly she tripped. Now as she tripped, she was wondering what she tripped on. And then she looked towards her left side over right side, and then suddenly she sees the body of a mutilated girl whose throat was slit ear to ear. Jennifer was still alive and she could sense what was going on. She was in a state of shock and on the verge of death. Jennifer lay in the field for over 14 hours, unable to move or cry, and she was surrounded by ants, fire ants, that were biting and attacking her exposed body. Jennifer tried to move. She really did try to move, but she couldn't move. So what she could do, the only thing she could move was her eyes. So she was scanning the area, but all she could feel was the stinging of the fire ants biting and attacking her exposed body. So even though she was paralyzed, she tried to scream, but nothing came out. She touched her neck and she suddenly saw that there was a fluid, and it was blood. She couldn't scream, she couldn't move. So imagine her state, how scary that must have been for her. So Jennifer has been assaulted, her throat has been slit, and she was also being attacked by those ants. In every area they could find, they were attacking her. So the police rushed her to the hospital. Everyone around her is telling her that don't worry, everything is going to be fine. And the person who did this to her is also a patient in the same hospital as her. So when Elaine was pregnant with Jennifer, she was nervous, she was scared, obviously, because she's a single mother. But when Jennifer was born, she was really close with Jennifer. Jennifer and her mother Elaine lived in a small town in Texas called Dickinson. Jennifer, an 8-year-old girl, she loved spending time with her mom. She was so close with her. She begged her mom to have a big girl room. But one thing about Jennifer is that she loved sleeping with her mom. Now it was summer holidays, of course, and Jennifer was really excited to be in 3rd grade. Jennifer loved school so much. She loved her friends, she loved her mom, she loved everything. Like, she was a happy child, okay? She was a really happy child. So now one thing about Jennifer is that she loved sleeping with her mom. It's like, you know, the ultimate level of comfort. I mean, no matter how much of an adult you are, I would still sleep with my mom. And I'm sure every one of us is the same out there. So that was the case with Jennifer as well. She loved sleeping with her mom. Anyways, now it's August 10th, 1990. Jennifer decided that she would sleep with her mom again. Elaine gave Jennifer a shower and was basically getting her ready for bed. Elaine wakes up from a sleep because Jennifer apparently kicked her out of her bed. So now what Elaine does, she requests her daughter. Elaine wanted she could have gone to Jennifer's room, but she couldn't because Elaine has a small bed. So Elaine's like, you know what, Mom, I love you very much and I'm only doing this for today, only because I love you. But next time, I'm not doing that anymore. And so she kisses her mom goodbye and then she goes to her room and it's 3 in the morning. Suddenly, Jennifer's a bit scared. She's like, are there monsters in the closet? I'm scared. So what she does, she turns on the light. Still, that doesn't comfort her. She's scared. She opens the window because it's hot. If you don't know one thing about Texas, it's hot. It's always 45 degrees over there. It's so hot. So she opens the window a bit. She turns on the light, she takes one of her storybooks and she reads herself to sleep. Although the lamp was still on and it was really bright, so she does eventually end up falling asleep. And the light was obviously going out. Now suddenly, Jennifer's got a nightmare. She feels like she's being tossed like a doll. Suddenly she opens her eyes and she sees that a grown man is basically holding onto her mouth like this and running away with her body like this. I in gym lift around 10 kgs. So this grown man who is 6 feet tall, for him to carry a 22 kg girl is not much. Jennifer tried to resist. She tried to kick and scream, but she was overpowered by the 6 feet tall man. This man threw her into the car and quickly drove away. Jennifer was forced to sit on the man's lap while he was driving. So Jennifer didn't say anything. She was just looking at him. She was looking around his car. So she noticed one thing: blue car, 2 doors. He had one hand on the wheel. He kept yanking Jennifer's head so that no one could recognize her, or so that she couldn't even ask for help. So Jennifer was so scared, but she was analyzing everything. So suddenly this man's like, it's okay, it's fine, don't worry. Everything's going to be okay. I'm an undercover police officer. Now, if you don't know, in the 90s, the kids over there, the kids in that time was always told that the cops, the nurse and the doctors, they're our friends. Obviously in this era it's different, but at that era it was different as well. So the parents would always tell them how the doctors, the nurse and the cops were our friends. So she was relieved, she was happy. She thought that, okay, fine, I'm with a police officer, so that's fine. I think I'm safe, so I think there's nothing to worry about. But she was still a bit skeptical, despite the fact she was kind of snatched away from her house. So Jennifer's very confused. She's like, what is going on? I want to trust this guy so bad, but like, I'm scared. I mean, the fact that I was literally snatched away from my house and this man expects me to be okay with the fact that he stole me from my house. How am I supposed to be okay with it? So then, to calm herself down, Jennifer's like, okay, can I see your police badge? And he's like, oh, I don't have one, I left it at home. So Jennifer's confused. She's like, what? You don't have a gun and a badge? Okay. So when Jennifer realized that she was being kidnapped, what she did, she looked at this man and she was like, glasses, mustache, scars on face. And she's like, oh, there's my grandma's house, you can drop me there. You can drop me there, like, this is my grandma's house. So basically, he also told Elaine that she was in danger. So Elaine's like, if I'm in danger and if you're a police officer, then you should drop me off to my grandparents' house. Like, I'll be safe there. Just drop me off over there. He didn't stop, but instead he drove away. And that's when Jennifer realized that if he was a police officer, then he would have stopped at this point and would have, take her to a trusted relative's house. But he didn't do that. So Jennifer knew that this man was no cop. Eventually, Dennis stopped his car in the parking lot of Jennifer's elementary school, and he tells Jennifer, look at the moon. If the moon changes color, it means your mom is on the way. If the moon completely changed colors, it means your mom is here. So Jennifer's like, is this man stupid? She's 8 years old, obviously. I mean, she's no stupid. She looked at the moon her whole life and she knows that moon doesn't change colors. So she desperately looks at the moon, waiting for the moon to change its color. But unfortunately, it never changed and her mom never showed up. It is speculated that the reason why this man has stopped the car and the reason why he was using this time is because he was doing something to drug her. But he was also offering candy to Jennifer. And Jennifer knew that this man is sketchy. And so what Jennifer did, she knew better. She was like, nope, I don't want any candies. I'm fine, I'm good. Thank you very much. So she didn't eat any of the candies that he kept offering her. And then got in the car and were like, well, your mom's not coming. She's not coming. So it's on her. It's her fault for not coming. It's her fault for not showing up. The man then started driving, taking her down a gravel road. So what this man does, this man pulls her out overground field with tall grass. He lunges for her throat and tells her, am I scaring you, little girl? Am I scaring you, with a knife? He dropped the knife and started choking her over and over again. She would get her consciousness back and then he would start choking her again. And during these times, we later find out that she has been sexually assaulted. And then the next minute, she also finds that her body was being dragged by her ankle and the man walks away, like literally dumping her naked body on a fire ant hill, and he drives off. And the man has also slit her throat ear to ear. And anytime she would try to figure out what the hell was going on, she would black out and go unconscious again. She would be in disbelief. She's like, why am I not dead yet? Why am I still alive? The sun's already out and Jennifer could feel all these little stings, and she could feel like these things were crawling and biting her over and over again. and she tried screaming for help, but she couldn't. That's when she realized that there was a hole in her throat, and she touched it. She couldn't feel anything. The only thing she felt was a hole, and she saw that it was very liquidy and very gooey. When she touched it and when she saw like this, she saw that there was blood, a lot of blood. Every time she tried to hold on to her neck just to stop the bleeding, she would go unconscious again. She would black out again. So this kept happening all day long. So early evening rolls around, and this time she could hear passing cars going by. Now it's early evening, and she tried to call out to someone. She tried to see if she could get any help. So what she did, she tried to turn her head around, but she couldn't do that because she can't move, neither can she scream. She just felt really exhausted. Jennifer just wanted to rest. She just wanted to relax. Even though her throat's being slit, she's also being attacked by fire ants. She just wanted to relax because her body would keep bringing her back. And every time she realized that she was still alive, she would be slightly annoyed. She's like, why am I still alive? So she closed her eyes one last time, hoping that this time she would actually die. So what she did, she was imagining about her mom, her friends in school, and basically the good moments in her life. But speaking about her friends from school, it's like as if she can hear them right now. The kids were playing, they were out in the field. And these voices started coming closer and closer to Jennifer. And she could hear her giggling and laughing and all that. But these weren't Jennifer's friends. She could hear them, but she knew that these weren't her friends. That's what she could tell, at least. The little girl that was running around and giggling did not even care about anything until she tripped over Jennifer. She looked left or right, and then suddenly she sees the body of a girl. She got scared, to which other kids were surrounding her and they wanted to see what was going on. And it felt like there was a whole commotion over her. She tried to wake up, but all she could see was a police officer. And she was already traumatized by now because she knew that the guy that has kidnapped her was a police officer as well. So when she saw the police officer trying to help her, she tried to scream. She tried to attack him. So the police in uniform told her, you'll be fine, stay with us. You'll be fine, stay with us. Sharon McBride is a pediatric ICU nurse and was assigned to Jennifer's case. She had clocked in for her late night shifts, and she starts reviewing her patient's chart. And when she did, her heart dropped. She was assigned to a room with an 8-year-old, which is the same age as her daughter, which was really hard for Sharon. The alarming part about this is that there was a police escort stationed in front of this 8-year-old girl's room. And that could only mean two things. It's either child abuse or sexual assault or juvenile offender. So when Sharon goes around and asks what happened, and when she finds out what happened to this little girl, it was her mission to get this girl out of the hospital stronger. The doctors and nurses informed Sharon that this girl was airlifted into the hospital via a helicopter, and everyone thought that she was going to die. Her skin was completely peeled, drained of all color. Her body was covered in ant bites, and the doctors have also speculated essay. And her whites of her eyes were bloodshot, being a thick opaque color. So it was just red and blue. So the doctors have noticed anytime a male doctor or a male police officer would come around, she would try to fight them so bad. Her eyes would widen and she would start panicking. Her mom wasn't allowed to be in the room because obviously their only focus was on how they could help Jennifer heal. But if Jennifer's mom was in the room and if she saw her daughter in this condition, she probably would have lost it. So that's why Elaine, the mother, she wasn't allowed to be in the room. So what the doctors did was try to put her mother away from Jennifer because Elaine would be a distraction. So when Jennifer was conscious, the female doctors and nurses would be only around her. No male doctors were allowed. She's rushed into the OR and Jennifer was put to sleep once again. So Jennifer's trachea has been slashed, which made her unable to speak for the rest of her life. That's why she couldn't scream. It is a genuine miracle that the laceration on her neck was missed. If it was hit, she would have lost her life right then and there. So the doctors ensured her that her breathing was intact and that her vocals were still working. Every single medical professional in that OR knew that Jennifer would never be able to speak. Sharon, being a mother herself, she was adamant. She wanted Jennifer to be strong again. She wanted to fix Jennifer. No matter how long it took, no matter how much time it took, she wanted to fix her. So Sharon was really concerned about Jennifer. She would even slide into Jennifer's room even when she was asleep. Sharon was so concerned for Jennifer that she would be thinking that who could do this to a little girl. So whenever she would be a bit emotional because of Jennifer, she would never let it show. She would run to the bathroom and she would cry for Jennifer that this little girl has went through so much. I mean, even if she does get better, she will never be the same again. No matter what Jennifer was doing, if she was eating, sleeping, or anything, Sharon would never leave Jennifer's side even for a second. So Jennifer's mom was also allowed to be in the room. She was beside Jennifer with grief and anger, and she kept blaming herself. So it is the next day and Elaine was getting ready for work. And so she slowly opened Jennifer's room to see if Jennifer was still up. She kind of peeked in, and then suddenly she saw that Jennifer's window was wide open. She's not in her bed. So she was worried. So she called 911 immediately, and the police arrived within 15 minutes or so. And she had not stopped searching for Jennifer until she could find where Jennifer was. After 14 hours of looking for her, after looking for her, finally she gets a call that Jennifer is in the hospital. And just like Nurse Sharon, Jennifer's mom, Elaine, was not going to leave Jennifer's side. She was going to be there. Sharon became one of the first few people that Jennifer truly trusted, and Sharon later said that Jennifer was really difficult to deal with. She even kicks one of the male doctors on the stomach out of self-defense. The doctors didn't mind. They were actually glad because it shows that Jennifer was... she was doing well. She was fighting for herself. She was standing up for herself. So the doctors didn't mind being kicked in the stomach. Now, a quick note, Jennifer was able to move now after her quick operation. She was actually never paralyzed to even begin with. It was just fair pain and trauma that kind of prevented her from moving around. Even looking into one of the mirror was traumatic for Jennifer. One of her uncles bought her this Tinkerbell makeup set, and this was the first time she looked in the mirror. And when she did, she immediately, right there and then, said, I don't know who that little girl is. I'm not that little girl. Like, she felt so ugly. So now what Jennifer's mother, Elaine, and Sharon did, they were adamant. They wanted to find whoever did this to Jennifer should be put behind bars. So right now, the police went back to the area and they found Jennifer's pajamas, men's underwear, and a man's blue t-shirt. Now, you might say that, oh, this is amazing, they can find the killer. No, in the 90s, just by finding these, it wasn't enough. You needed more, like actual DNA, like blood or saliva, to get someone's DNA. Just by clothes, you can't get someone's DNA just by clothes. The only thing the police had was Jennifer, and there was a lot of concern about talking to Jennifer about that incident because it is traumatizing as it is, especially to an 8-year-old, asking an 8-year-old what exactly happened that day. And Jennifer was very scared of people, especially men, so how do you expect her to talk to a man? So this is a small town in Texas, and majority of the police were men. There was no woman. She couldn't even speak or make noise, so how could she even tell you what happened? The only thing she could do is draw, and which then again will be very traumatizing for Jennifer. So what the police did, they reached out to Jennifer's mother, Elaine, and Sharon, so that they could ask questions to Jennifer. So what Jennifer did, she wrote down what happened. Like, she wrote notes, tiny little details here and there. She was so observant, she even drew a sketch on his face with lines to show what this man looked like. It shows how smart Jennifer was for being an 8-year-old. She was writing what she was wearing that day, what this man was wearing that day, what he looked like that day, how he grabbed her out of her bed. Like, she was writing every single thing in detail. And mind you guys, she is only 8 years old. So after writing every single details, she wrote that this man is called Dennis. So Sharon, who helped Jennifer to write down what exactly happened to her that day, she was so impressed by Jennifer's memory. So she would tell Jennifer, thank you Jennifer, thank you so much, that was really good, you did amazing. And then she would be like, Jennifer, can you please excuse me? And then she would go to the bathroom and she would cry. She would cry reading the details because it was too much for her. After the notes were completed, the authorities brought a female forensic artist. So mind you guys, this is the 4th day in the hospital. She was also heavily medicated, and she was in excruciating pain, reliving her trauma, especially by talking about it. it wasn't helping her, honestly. It wasn't helping talking about her trauma, but she was like, no, I need to talk about this. I need the police to get this man. They have a sketch and they have their suspect, and they gave this sketch to the police. This is when Jennifer focuses all of her energy into her recovery. Remember how people were saying that she wouldn't survive? Well, she did. And remember how they also mentioned that she would never be able to talk again or move again? Well, she did. She could talk again and she moved again. Her talking, it started in the hospital. She was making tiny little noises and everyone just went quiet. So they were like, is this even coming out of Jennifer? Like, who's making that sound? So slowly she started to talk. She had to relearn inflection and speech patterns. She was a living proof that the impossible was possible. Now that Jennifer is all grown up, she jokes about it, but she hasn't shut up since. Anyways, after a month, Jennifer started her 3rd grade as all of her classmates did. In the same area, in the same place. She never moved. Even if she wanted to move, it would have made a lot of sense. Because, see, she was attacked by her attacker. What if he came to attack her because she can speak? And what if she decides to open her mouth? What if she decides to tell the truth? What if the attacker is out there and he's like, yes, she knows what happened, she's still alive, I need to go back and finish the job. But no. Jennifer, as strong as she was, as strong as she is, she decides to go back into 3rd grade with her classmates. So Jennifer was getting closer and closer to this case about where her attacker was. She was looking for her attacker, but the police kept getting further and further away. Like, they were forgetting the story. They kind of moved on, and the case was just, you know, open, and it wasn't solved for years. So her case turned into a cold case, and as weeks and months went by, Jennifer is an adult. She remembers being a child and she would lock herself in the bathroom, read this quote, the ugly long scar on her neck. And she would look at this quote for hours in the bathroom. And somehow as a child she would blame herself. She thought that it was her fault. She deserved all of this for her to happen to her. So mind you guys, she was attacked, but she was also getting bullied for the scar on her neck. So she couldn't participate in PE classes because obviously if she shows, like, if anyone sees her body or anything like that, they could tell what happened. So she would skip PE classes because she didn't want to relive her memories. Neither did she want to get bullied because of the scars that she has on her body. So what she would do, she would go to the nurse's office and she would sit there for a while. And she would sit in the nurse's office while her friends and her classmates were in PE classes. So about Jennifer, she was scared of parking lots, windows, she sleep in the dark, and she had a lot of anxiety. So most nights she would just sit up hours just to calm herself down to sleep. Like, she couldn't sleep at night, so she would stay up like literally hours, and then she had to calm herself down just so that she could go back to sleep. So basically, while she was getting older, her case kept being handed to a new officer, and her case kept going cold. Like, no one was taking this seriously. And it's a pretty shitty feeling knowing that the person who did this is still out there living their life while you're here fighting, trying to know what happened, why did this happen to you, why did this even happen in the first place? Like, you have so many questions in your mind, and the police officers were like, oh, don't worry, we've got this undercover, like, can you tell us your story? So basically she keeps telling the officers what happened to her, and her case would be cold. She wouldn't hear from the officers in ages, and then suddenly a new officer comes in and then they would call her again, and she just hated that. She hated that feeling. Like, okay, fine, if you don't want to work on it, don't work on it. Don't give her that reminder. Like, that's not necessary. But Jennifer, she tried to move on. She starts working at a public library during college years. She had really strong maternal instincts. And when she saw how much the kids loved her, she just knew at this point that one day when she would get married, she wanted to have kids. So she falls in love with this man, Jonathan Martinez. So the two of them got married, and Jonathan was the man of her dream. But yet, after everything that he knew, he still loved her. So whenever she would go to the grocery stores or anywhere in public, she would look at all these men. She would scan their faces, just look at them just to see if she remembers. So she was looking around, scanning their faces just to see if she would get attacked again. So this is what Jennifer had to go through every day for the rest of her life. She was in fear. But Jonathan was helping her with it. Jonathan understood why she was like this. So Jonathan never really questioned her and was like, it's fine. Like, I'll do anything to help you. If this helps you calm down, then so be it. Jennifer was diagnosed with hydrosalpingo at the age of 25 years old. So the reason why this happened to Jennifer, it was due to the essay when she was 8 years old. She would probably never be able to conceive. Even with corrective surgeries, her chances of becoming a mother is 0.1%. That's what the doctors told her. So this devastation literally just started hitting again. The fact that she tried so hard to get over the fact that she was essayed, and this trauma that she had to remember again. So while she's getting a diagnosis from the doctor and all that, she gets a call from Tim Cromie. Tim Cromie was the new detective that was handling Jennifer's case. It's been 18 years of her attack, and now she's all grown up, and suddenly after 18 years Tim Cromie wants to come and solve her case. Like, she was being very skeptical. She was like, oh please, it's just another officer that's just going to be tired and fed up on my case and not going to do anything. And this time Tim Cromie had called Jennifer personally to let her know that he was going to take over the case and that he wanted to meet her in person. And it was the first time in 18 years that the police officer had actually called her and told her to come in and see the detective. When Jennifer sees Tim Cromie, she ends up breaking down in front of him. She ends up crying, and she's like, so now what are we doing here? After 18 years, now someone's finally showing some sort of, I don't know, interest in my case. It's not even about me anymore. It's about that how many kids he could even hurt because it's been 18 years, and in 18 years he got away and it was just easy for him. But now that we're here in 18 years, I mean, no one's even taking this seriously. Tim Cromie, he basically heard Jennifer's venting and all that, and he was quiet. And after Jennifer was done, he told Jennifer that, look, Jennifer, I'm gonna fight till my last breath, but I need you to trust me, and I need you to know that I am actually serious about this case, and that I want to take this case seriously, and I will help you find all the answers that you need. I will do whatever I can in my power till the end of my career. And Jennifer said that that simple sentence had changed her life. So Jennifer, for the first time in 18 years, she thought that she was going to be getting some sort of justice. So what she did, she called Detective Cromie and said that she wants to get on the trial and she wants to face this guy in court. So she said that she wants to come out and show the person that has silenced her and that she came out victorious. And he did not take this lightly. He knew that since he is the detective, he owed her some answers. So now it's 2009 and it's been 19 years of attack, 1990 to 2009. Yeah, 2009. And it's been 19 years at this point. Detective Cromie reaches out to the FBI to help him out with Jennifer's case. And 2009 is the year for a lot of new techs. DNA testing has grown significantly. So the police sent the clothes to Quantico for them to be tested for any sort of DNA that they could find. I mean, obviously this wasn't a priority since this case is 19 years old and they have so many cases coming, like, you know, to them, Quantico. Since we sent all these clothes and all that to Quantico, Jennifer's case wasn't a priority. Detective Cromie, he still sent the clothes, and after 1 year, which is 2010, they finally get a call back. So Detective Cromie gets a call at 2:30 in the morning. They had a match. Whoever did this was already in the system. And the man's full name is Dennis Earl Bradford. The detective went back to Jennifer's note and they saw that Jennifer, 8 years old Jennifer, wrote the name. Dennis had been convicted of kidnapping in 1997, 7 years after Jennifer's attack. So Dennis has been living in Arkansas since 1991, but before that he lived in Dickinson, Texas. Remember how Jennifer, the 8-year-old girl, told what Dennis looked like? Apparently the police officers got their hand on the Texas driver's photo license and they were shocked by the detail. They were shocked at how accurate the girl described of how that man looked like. So a little about Dennis. Now, who is this Dennis guy? Dennis was probably around in his 20s when he attacked Jennifer. He moved from Texas to Arkansas and he got married at 21 years old to an 18-year-old girl called Lisa. And they had 2 kids together, but the marriage was just really bad. And Dennis was not very a good person. Like, people could tell that he was not a good person. So eventually Dennis and his wife Lisa gets divorced. So in 1996, He spots a girl in the bar and he politely asks her, can I buy you a drink? And she politely declines. She's like, no, I'm good, thank you very much. He keeps requesting her. He's like, let me buy you a drink, let me buy you a drink. And she's like, no, I'm good, thank you, I don't want a drink. He will not take no for an answer. Like, he kept requesting her to a point she gets fed up. She's like, oh man, you know what, I'll just accept it so that he leaves me alone. So she's like, okay, fine, get me this drink. And he proceeds to buy drink after drink. He bought her so many drinks that she gets really drunk. And once they were finished drinking, he's like, can I give you a ride back home? And she agrees. So he asks her in his car, can we take the long way? There's some music that I want you to listen. She didn't really want to. She was like, no, please, I'm tired, I want to go home. Can you please just take the quick way, because I really want to go home. Since she's drunk and she's not in control, he does whatever he wants. So he started driving, and what he does, he starts choking and punching the woman. She starts losing consciousness as he drags her out of the car. When she woke up, she was naked. Her clothes were scattered in a field. Dennis told her not to move, and he ran back to his car and came back with a knife, put the knife to her neck and essayed her. And the fact that this happened exactly after 7 years, it shows how comfortable Dennis had been. Luckily, this woman escaped because he was not able to kill her. So she escaped and she informed the police that this man was trying to kill her. He was arrested and was attempted with first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 12 years and was ordered to provide a DNA test for the database. Dennis later remarried in 2004 and legally adopted his wife's children. The detectives called Jennifer to let her know that Dennis has been arrested. And she said that it has been one of the most surreal moments in her life, and it meant everything to her. And when she went to the press conference, she remembered how Detective Cromie and Agent Renison came forward and hugged her and told her, we told you that we were going to get him for you. And she said that it is one of the most amazing moment of her life. And she still knew that there was so much to do, there was so much work to do. Detective Cromie still had to prove that Dennis was the one that is responsible for the attack. And since 20 years has passed, it's going to be hard to prove this. Detective Cromie was interviewed about Jennifer's case. After Dennis was booked, the detectives asked him, do you remember anything about Jennifer, which is from 19 years ago? So when this whole incident happened, obviously Jennifer was a minor, and her information was not publicly released like that. So basically she lived under a shadow, and even there was no news about her because she was a minor. So even if they were actually talking about a victim being essayed, they would hide the name. So he believed wholeheartedly that she was dead since there was no coverage or anything like that. The detectives start by asking him if he remembers anyone called Jennifer Schuett, to which he replies, yes. And he stated that he remembered hearing about her in the community talking about a little girl called Jennifer Schuett, a girl that was left in the field, and that he prayed for her, and he felt really bad that this girl had to go through so much. To which the detectives then asked a second question, did you have any occasion to come in contact with her? And he replied, yes. So then the detectives are like, tell me about it. And he's like, no. And then the detectives goes on like, you don't want to talk about it? To which he replied, no. Then the detectives ask, is there a reason why you don't want to talk about it? To which Dennis replies, you did your homework. And the detectives are like, you're right, Dennis, we did our homework. We know everything that you did. And there's two sides of the story, so we want to know your side of the story. If you're remorseful about anything that you did, then you open up now and tell us what you did. Dennis tears up, and then he goes on by saying, not a single day goes by when I do not think about that little girl. I always think about her. And there is no other side to that story. And then he says that she was an innocent and I was sick, deranged, beat up little fuck. She wasn't anybody that I met, and I don't remember why I pulled up to her apartment and did that to her. To which the detectives replied, and if I think you were to see her, you would be very proud of her. Dennis breaks down and he's like, she's alive? he keeps on repeating that she's alive, she's alive. He keeps on saying that, and the detectives were saying she's alive, and let me tell you something, she's with us right now. So Dennis explains that night what really happened. So he was driving around in the neighborhood and pulled into a random lot, and he stated that he walked over to the window and he could see through it. I pulled that little girl out of my window and I put her in my car, and I told her, please don't worry, it's alright, I'm a police officer, and that everything was going to be okay. And that little girl was so afraid of me, I just lost it and I started acting like a savage animal, and I still can't force myself to say it. To which the police officers replied, this has been haunting you your whole life, Dennis. Let's hear it. And then Dennis is like, I took that little girl out there, I ripped her and I cut her throat, and I don't know why I did that, and I never known why. Many times I've just wanted to end it. I wanted to end my life, but I never had the guts. And then he tries to explain to the police officers how he tried to use a shotgun to end his life after what he did to Jennifer. He tried to shoot himself with a shotgun, and when he couldn't do it, he accidentally shot his parents' rooftop. And then he was actually brought into the hospital the same day as Jennifer. So it shows that he was feeling bad for what he did, but that doesn't justify what you did. She told the press conference that I'm not a victim, I am victorious. And now she focused all of her attention on prepping for this trial. Dennis admits to the crime, so they were planning to go for a life sentence since everything matched. The place that she had been assayed at, she would go to that field several times just to remember any little thing that she went through. So she would visit, and she said that I just really wanted to be able to remember all the details that happened, so that one day if I could go to court and tell them what exactly happened to me and tell my story the way it was. So now about Dennis, he was supposed to appear in front of a judge on August 10th, 2010. This is exactly after 20 years. And Jennifer was the one that picked the date. Jennifer has stayed up countless nights just so that she could prep for a statement. She was basically preparing herself for the hearing, and she was waiting 20 years for this hearing. But unfortunately, she won't be able to do it because she ends up getting a call from Detective Cromie. And Detective Cromie told her that Dennis had hanged himself in his jail cell. Unfortunately, Dennis died May 10th and he's 40 years old. It's believed that Dennis was a serial predator to adults and children, and he knew that his life was over by now. And he knew that since he's caught, more of his crimes would surface. So he just wanted to have the easy way out. He just wanted to leave so that no one would really talk about him and he wouldn't have to face the embarrassment. And he knows that if these inmates get to know what Dennis did, he knew what these inmates would do to him. Dennis did not want to face the consequences. So what he did, he took it the easy way out. Detective Cromie ends up telling the media that I will never forget the way she was crying on the phone. She was crying and screaming. He couldn't comfort her. The only thing he could tell her was, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all he could say to her. Because he knew that she was preparing for this for so long. She was preparing for this for 20 years. And now that it's all gone. So Jennifer and her husband went to Dennis's grave August 10th, 2010, and she read her impact statement that she had prepared for court, and she read it directly to Dennis standing over his dead body. Dennis Bradford, I waited 19 years, 2 months and 3 days to find out your last name and for you to be caught, and you chose the wrong 45-pound, 8-year-old girl to try and murder, because for 19 years I've thought about you every single day. And I've helped searching for you. I didn't know who you were or where you were, but in my head I knew you were out there alive, either in prison or living a lie. And now I know, listening to my heart, all of these years and never giving up on finding you, I was right all this time. That sick little game that you had started, but then again, you were wrong. I laid there in that field, bleeding to death, knowing that one day I'd face you, and to know that you'd never hurt another person. That is what kept me going, and today I am in front of you as a 28-year-old woman, and I would like to know that I'm not a victim because of what happened 20 years ago. I've waited for this day for 20 years of my life. I hope you now feel as weak as you made me feel all these years ago as a child. Dennis Bradford, I am not your victim, I'm victorious. And then the most surreal thing happened. She turned to her husband and said, do you think he hurt me? And then suddenly, ouch, what is that? She looked down and she saw a fire ant bite her. Jennifer took that as a sign from God, and she knew that he definitely hurt her. Now, Jennifer couldn't have a baby anymore because of her condition. Well, one of the doctors heard her story and they felt really bad. This doctor offered Jennifer and her husband a free IVF, which means that she could actually have children with this treatment. But then again, the chances are 0 to slim. Miraculously, Jennifer now has twins. 1 boy, 1 girl. This is actually such a good story. I mean, the fact that Jennifer has such good endings, I mean, this just shows that Jennifer is gonna live a good, healthy life, and I'm really happy for her. Nowadays, Jennifer, she spends her days helping other survivors. She travels to connect with people. Jennifer is the true example of miracle, that miracles really do happen, second chances really do happen. She is the prime example, and I'm just so happy for her. Like, while I was reading her case, I was actually, reading through it, and I sort of teared up while I was doing her case, and it's just so it made me really happy, the fact that she could even get this kind of treatment and have her happy ending. Anyways guys, please be safe. I'll see you on Saturday or Sunday. Thanks for watching. Take care.